Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Overdress Stoichea Sylvan deck profile for June 2021. This is one of the decks given to us with the 5 different start decks when Overdress started. The Stoichea deck used by Megumi in the Overdress series. A really awesome deck that focuses on having your units attack from the back row, so you can get off multiple attacks in one turn with using your main go-to grade 3 unit, which is Sylvanhorn Beast King Magnolia, to give all of your units the option to attack from the back row and then just have immense power boosts based on the different units that attack on the field. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the start deck, we're starting off with our starter, which is Sylvanhorn Beast lot. There's just more setup with the entire Sylvan Stoichea deck, which having the card ability like all the other starters, when wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. For our grade 1 unit in the start deck, we're running Sylvanhorn Beast Charis. When this unit is wrote upon by Sylvanhorn Beast Latisse, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a grade 2 or less unit, call it to rear, and if it isn't, put it into your soul. So a good majority of what we're running in the deck are grade 2 or less units, with only Magnolia being the only grade 3 unit in the deck. So most of the time this should consistently go off. If it doesn't, it goes into your soul just to build up more Soul Blast use for some of the other cards in the deck. Our grade 2 unit is our Sylvanhorn Beast Latisse. When this unit is wrote upon by Sylvanhorn Beast King Magnolia, use Soul Blast 1, being the requirement filled with Charis if you don't have the unit called, and then reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a unit card, call it to rear. If it isn't, put it into your hand. So at least with this card, if you do reveal like a normal order, you can at least add it to your hand to use. So very useful for that. With our grade 3 unit being Sylvanhorn Beast King Magnolia, the go-to grade 3 for the deck. It sets up all of your back row attack units as well. So this is the go-to ride deck for that setup. So you at least have units called out onto the field ready to use without even having to use any of your hand to call out units to the field. For the rest of our grade 3s, we're just running 3 of the Sylvanhorn Beast King Magnolia. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, you counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards until the end of that turn. That unit can attack from the back row, and it gets plus 5,000 power. If you Persona Road this turn, you choose 3 rear guards instead of 1. So this is a great option, because not only will you have the front 2 rear guards to attack as well, but you'll have the 3 back row rear guards, giving you a total of 6 attacks. So just immense power that you can get with some of our other grade 2 units for that setup. And the fact that Magnolia gives each one of those units plus 5,000 power means that they can each individually hit the Vanguard as well, as long as your opponent doesn't get a trigger. And that is it for the grade 3s. With the ride deck, that's really all you need. And then you rely on just drawing into the rest of the Magnolias for your Persona rides. For the grade 2s, we're running 3 additional Sylvanhorn Beast Latisse, along with having the Vanguard only skill. We also have the back row option on rear. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1, and this unit gets plus 10,000 power until the end of that battle. So along with the plus 5,000 power that Magnolia will provide for this card, it has the plus 10,000 power, making it 25,000 total. So even if your opponent does get a trigger unit, they can at least have this unit hit your opponent's Vanguard, and having them at least need a 5,000k shield to guard against the attack. So that's immense pressure, and one of the go-to units you definitely want to set up in the back row just for that pressure alone. And one of our main go-to grade 2 units in the back is our Sylvanhorn Beast Geonosia. With this card in the back row on rear, when this unit attacks, you counterblast 1, choose one of your other rear guards, and it gets this unit's power until the end of turn. So with your front rows kind of lacking the boost power, you can rely on Geonosia to basically have the power boost provided by Magnolia. And then if you get any additional trigger power units and you give it to this card, when this card attacks, you can provide all of its power to one of your front row units, basically making up for the boost that this card in the back row would have originally provided. So you can have all that power to this card, and then the additional power to the card in the front row to attack your opponent's Vanguard as well. Those numbers will definitely come in handy because you need those power boosts for the additional cards. So having multiple Geonosia on the back row means multiple attacks and multiple power boosts for the front row. For additional consistency for calling units, I also run 4 Spurring Maiden Elenia. When this unit is placed on rearguard from your hand, counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 2 or less card from your drop zone, call it to rear, and it gets plus 5,000 power till end of turn. So with this, it can be your go-to card in the front row. There's really no benefit to this card being in the back row for any power boost, so it can be one of the cards you give for the power boost with cards like our Sylvanhorn Beast attacking, giving power to Elenia on the front row, and then having Elenia attack our opponent's Vanguard or Rearguard with some, boosted numbers, with this card providing that additional power and just needing a counterblast. The Soul Charge definitely comes in handy as well with this card, since it needs a counterblast and a Soul Blast. So you use up a lot of resources with your Elenia in general, just because of all that you're going to invest for this card. For some of the lower numbers for the grade 2s, I also run 2 Sylvanhorn Beastaglio. On Rearguard, retire this unit, choose 2 of your units, and they get plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So there are a couple grade 2s and 1s that I was mixing and matching numbers, but with this card providing an additional 5,000 power, we can have some of our back row units, along with the 10,000 power that Latisse can sometimes get, or even just the 5,000 that Magnolia provides, enough of a boost, and just sometimes some additional rear guards that we can retire for that boost to provide units power to other rear guards on the field as well. It's not specifically saying the back row either. You can rely on Sylvanhorn Beastaglio just as additional options for power boost to a bunch of other cards on the field, even some front row units, and then just call out another card onto the field to use also. For the last of the grade 2s, I also run 1 Sylvanhorn Beast Duger. If you have 4 or more other rear guards, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. It's pretty straightforward for the power boost. You can mix and match some of the numbers with Aglio and Duger on the field. Just for if you wanted to run all of Aglio instead of Duger, you can have a 3 of, or you can mix and match any of the numbers. I just like the retire option when you have cards like Elenia to call out other rear guards to the field. Being able to retire one of the other ones for a power boost means that you just have better options for some of your opponent's cards also. But the power boost alone, just by having a full rear guard on the field, can be good for one of your front row if you don't have the counterblast to provide with your Sylvanhorn Beast for the power boost. And that's it for the grade 2s. For the grade 1s, I also run 3 additional Sylvanhorn Beast Charis. From the back row during the battle this unit attacked, it gets plus 5,000 power. So just kind of like Latisse, having a more of a rear guard back row setup instead of just the ride target option, you can rely on this card as a 13k hit against your opponent's Vanguard. It's good for that setup because then you don't have to use a counterblast or a soul blast like you would with Latisse. Charis just allows you to have that boost on its own just by being in the back row. It has to attack, it can't boost to gain that as well, so make sure you rely on that. It'll still be a good 8k boost if it's the turn where you didn't persona ride with Magnolia. Being able to have this card at least provide somewhat of a boost early game. If you only have 1 unit in the back row attacking, this card can just provide a boost to Magnolia to hit higher numbers against your opponent. And also for the grade 1s, 4 of the latest Sentinel, which is Planner Prevent Dragon. Now, I've gone over it in the other videos, but for the newest Sentinel, they work basically when put on the guard circle, choose one of your units. It cannot be hit until the end of that battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand, discard it. So if you only 2 cards in your hand are 2 of the Planner Prevent Dragon, you can guard with the 1 and not have to discard the other card. Since you have just 1 or less cards in your hand, then this card can be guarded, and you can use the final Sentinel against your opponent to block that attack. It definitely does come in handy when your opponent's Vanguard is attacking, because remember, with some of the guards, you can guard pretty high. If you don't have the Sentinel, though, your opponent could still potentially hit the over trigger and hit over all the guard. But with a Sentinel, they won't be able to hit it into it at all. And then you'll have that final one if your opponent does give the 100 million to their rear guard and block with that final Sentinel. And I also run 2 additional grade 1 to finish off the grade 1s, and that is Conspiring Mutant Ad Mantis. Now, this was another number that I was mixing with Duger and Aglio. If you want to take out the Ad Mantis, you can always put in additional copies of Aglio and Duger, just taking in maybe 2 Duger and 3 Aglio for the additional numbers. But sometimes Ad Mantis helps just for the power boost, or even if you just wanted to reduce the numbers to 1 of this card, like I did with the previous Stoichea deck that I made, with Zorgets being more of the just 1 reliance because of our next go-to card, which, finishing off the grade 1s, we're going now into the normal orders, and that is 4 Spiritual Body Condensation. You play this card with a Soul Blast to 1. You choose a card with a grade equal to or less than your Vanguard from your drop zone, call it to rear, and gets plus 5,000 power. So an arsenal of basically all the cards we went over, being able to be called out to the rear is just a good way to superior call from the drop zone using this card. Very, very useful because it also gets plus 5,000 power, giving us an additional boost to the back row rear guards when they attack, and just needing a Soul Blast. And when you persona ride plenty enough with Magnolia, you'll be able to acquire that power. And moving on now, we already went over the starter with the ride deck. For the trigger lineup, I am running 4 critical and 3 of the Abyss Temptation, so 7 critical in total. I thought of front triggers, but for those of you that haven't seen my girlfriend Marissa's deck profile, she also made a Sylvan Stoichea deck, so be sure to check that out. I'll have it in the description below on her channel. Just a few differences. She did run the rainbow version, just as more of a pressure to the front row, but with the critical, you can at least provide the critical pressure to your back row and then have that additional power given to your other units when you attack with units like your Sylvanhorn Beast. Player preference there, but I definitely do like the critical pressure. Only running 7 though. We're also running 4 draw trigger just for more hand consistency as well, being the Sylvanhorn Beast Palatter. I'd say it's just more fitting for the deck, being a Sylvan monster. Same with the last card being the heal trigger, and that is Sylvanhorn Beast Zia Torag. Just like I said, Sylvan fitting for that, with the final trigger being the over trigger, and that is Source Dragon Deity of Blessings, Bless Siever. With this card also, the additional effect along with the 100 million draw card, choose one of your units and it gets critical +1 until end of turn. All of your front row units get 10,000 power. If your damage zone has more or equal cards, remember there is an errata with this card, so not just more than your opponent, but more or equal, choose a card from your damage zone and heal it. So basically a great way to recover against your opponent with the additional heal along with the over trigger when revealed. So with this card, you have a 5th heal trigger in the deck, plus power to the front row, and the extra critical option for one of your rear guards. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. I'm going through all of the decks from Overdress, just one more left to go, that being the Violence Bruce deck. I hope you all look forward to that as well. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.